I don't know. When we're done here tonight, I may just recruit him. You know, absence makes the heart grow fonder, doesn't it? And I will tell you that Steve Laffey's absence from, Steve Laffey. Yeah, that's Steve Laffey's absence from Rhode Island has been, in some ways, palpable when I think about the leadership void that we have in this state right now. And that's not just by habit, that's really looking at what's going on right now. And so, on this Friday show this evening, welcome into my state of mind. We are going to skip the rundown, as you probably know we do on Friday nights, and we're going to spend some time talking to an old friend and get a little perspective from him. He always has it. Here's what he's doing. He's got a website. You know, he's trying to do that. He's trying to fix America. He's always been trying to fix something. He fixed Cranston, I know that. How are you, my friend?
It's really, really a pleasure. I mean, it's very heartfelt to be back for. If I stay a couple more days, I won't leave. I mean, it's good to be back.
Really? Now, I should say that you are here on a family visit, somewhat impromptu, and you're kind of in and out. And you texted me and said, "Hey, I'm in town," and I said, "Hey, get over here." So I'm glad you came over. How are you?
I'm good.
Where you been?
It seems like I've been gone for a day. I literally coming back and seeing people and being in restaurants, and whether it's Spoons or Cafe Bon Ami and my normal haunts, we just wander in and people stopping, people beeping their horns in the street, and people pulling over and saying, "Where you been?" And,
right.
So it's you know, my heart is in the middle of Cranston all the time, and very sad about what's been happening there. And just like I was when I first came home, when I was like, you know, I had a campaign in 2002, which basically said, nobody will like anything I'm going to do, but I'm a financial expert. We have to fix this problem. You people raised me. I'll pay back this debt. Elect me. And we won, and then continued 4 years of mayhem of trying to fix and fight these people who really destroyed Cranston and are still destroying Rhode Island. It's very sad to watch from a distance.
You can't even mince your words, can you?
No, I don't know how.
You don't. You're
I'm sorry.
As soft. No, I apologize. As soft-spoken as you are, you're 0 to 60 on concept in 6 seconds. What are you sad about Cranston? By the way, Cranston just made some list of the top 50 cities in America to live.
Yeah, I was sad to see what happened with the
which is a good
ticketing
thing for
and the
Cranston.
police and the whole
all of that mess.
Yeah, it just didn't have to happen. It shouldn't have happened. And when I was the mayor, the people we promoted to be police chief and captains,
Chief McGrath,
they were the right people.
He was here telling his side of the story.
And when I read through the police report, and basically from page 29 to 31, as I remember,
the state police report on the Cranston Police Department,
when it basically said Laffey had the right people in. We did, and the only thing that separates a city or a state or a country from Venezuela is a very, very able, honest police force. If you don't have that, you have people worried about who they should report to, what they should do, and so forth. So I just was very sad to see that happen. I had warned the mayor in a conversation I had with him on a bridge. I was at Harvard. My kids were swimming. I'll never forget it. The last time I talked to Mayor Fung was, "You're making a huge mistake."
By doing what?
By getting in bed with the unions. You're not from North Providence. Your name doesn't end in a vowel. I don't mean to insult people. You know, you're just not that clan. And you're not a Republican. You're a Republican. You're not a Democrat. You chose to be a Republican. You ran with me. And eventually they'll throw you under the bus. They have no need for you. They'll protect all these other people. Doesn't matter what their name is. They won't protect you. And you need to understand that. You're giving away the store on these union contracts. You're promoting the wrong people. And I feel bad, because I like him.
Do you want to, because viewers are going to say, Dan, did you catch that? Name doesn't end in a vowel. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Well, the Italian, I'm a Laffey, it's sort of a vowel. But yeah, that's sort of the you know, who did we deal with on the unions, right? The same stuff. I had the fight with Arben Sabatoni, Michael Traficante. Could be Irish, could be Italian. We're all Irish-Italian in Rhode Island, so we think of it now. It's not so much that way, but it doesn't matter. I'm just, use it as a colloquialism, but it is what it is. And these people, every single day, go to the State House in Rhode Island and destroy the state. They destroyed my city of Cranston, which we rectified. They're destroying the state today, and people have not been willing to rise up. I mean, a state that has a democratically controlled both houses, now a Democratic governor, is it going to recover, or are you just going to tax some bridges, tax some try to find people who don't live here that you can tax. Because another sign of sure fiscal distress is when you reach out and try to tax people that can't do anything about it. They tried with the second homes or whatever when Gina Raimondo came in. Now they're trying with the tolls. It's silly.
Well, she's trying. You know, but labor, public sector or non-public sector, helped her get elected.
Yeah.
And this stimulus, which really it's a stimulus plan, is designed for payback there. And when you argue jobs, 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 a lot of people say, yeah, okay, jobs, and it's only truck tolls, and they just don't understand the revenue streams, the structure, the irreversibility
Right.
of this kind of thing, the notion that when the truck tolls don't crack the nut, there'll be more truck tolls, and then guess what? Well, the gantries are up anyway. The cars will be tolled, and
it's on the margin, and so it's always on the margin that people make decisions. So when the price of property taxes are around at twice or 3 times what they are where I live in Colorado, 3 times. I live in a city that has a mill rate of 7. It's not Little Compton. There's all services, the lights are all synchronized, the roads are all paved, everything is done correctly, there's no corruption, it can be done. So on the margin, people who aren't stuck here keep leaving. And on the margin, people who are in welfare keep coming, or don't speak English, keep coming. And so you're going to be left with not just a bankrupt Providence, which I predicted 7 years ago would happen within 10 years, and it will. You're going to be left with a bankrupt Rhode Island.
someone suggested already is.
It is. They just haven't told people. It effectively is. You could run a little more cash flow out of it. But David Cicilline destroyed day by day the city of Providence, and then they elected him to be congressman, only in Rhode Island. That would never happen in Tennessee, where I lived for 9 years. It wouldn't happen in Colorado. You wouldn't get a chance to destroy a city single-handedly. The pension plans, the lack of garbage pickup, the potholes where you can break your leg walking out of the P-PAC. You look out the mayor's window and you can see the ripped of things happening with the criminals running around. Wouldn't happen, doesn't happen. Only happens here. And at some point, people have to rise up and say, no more. Now, in Cranston, one time, when they were really fearful and people were like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Did they pay attention to one guy who said, you won't like anything I'm going to do. Not one single thing will be liked by any of you people. Vote for me, because I will fix it, and you'll be okay. But it took like focus. That will come to Rhode Island. It will come to Providence. And when it comes to Providence, it will come to Rhode Island because the money gets sucked into Providence all the time. It'll come, and it's coming soon, relatively soon. Next year, the year after, the year after.
You did raise taxes.
I did.
You did raise taxes.
Yeah. We raised taxes, we cut spending. When I left, we were actually cutting taxes. We left a $22 million surplus. The bond rating for the first time in the history of America, in any 4-year period, went up 8 notches. That's the opposite, by way of Chris Christie, whose bond rating has gone down like 8 notches as he's the governor. So I made the mistake. I thought you had to be successful to move up in the world, like I did in business. But I guess you can run for president when your bond rating goes down 8 notches. But Cranston, Rhode Island was a singular success story. Everybody knows, I mean, people know that's why I'm here, right? It happened, we fought all the battles, but you have to have someone who's going to fight them every single day.
Right.
And it has to be a movement.
I want to talk about that when we come back. I'd really like to learn what Steve has learned about the political process in and out. Stay with us. Yeah, being interviewed about what? What was, remember this? What was this?
This is the filming of the movie.
The movie.
It was we were in Rhode Island. We were filming and we were on
Fixing
TV.
America.
Yeah, Fixing America. Yeah, there I am talking about.
And I remember this premiere that you did in Cranston.
Yeah, sold out. It was good.
The movie didn't do that well, did it?
The movie, by the way, is being reworked now. It seems as though we are early for our time and people want to see it now. But they did relatively well, but it never broke through. And I actually, it's very disappointing because people love the movie. I mean, I've been with a billionaire who loved the movie, bought thousands of them and wanted everybody in America to see them. But we don't attack people in the movie. You know, we don't go after the President of the United States, Obama, or former President Bush.
Right.
We've interviewed heartfelt people on the sides of roads who know America is failing.
You let the story be told.
Yes. And
Yeah. Well, you know, American politics and issues argument are about combat these days more than anything else.
Yeah.
And just throw up the picture of the book, will you? This was your first decision to be retrospective about your political career. So you have lots of success in the financial world. You decide to run for Cranston mayor. You come out of nowhere. You win that. And then you take on the U.S. Senate race, and you get beat. And I don't have the picture. I didn't pull it out. I didn't want to ruin your week of you and your wife literally in the hotel room trying to deal with the devastation of losing it. Because politics is blood sport. It's competition for ideas and for people to follow you. And so you wrote the book about the whole thing. And, I've read it through, and so many people have. Then you go to Colorado, you move, you finally say, I got to get out of here. Remind everybody why you said, I got to get out of here.
I said, you really only want me on your show. You really only want me if you have a financial crisis and you want to fix it. And not enough people want to fix it.
So you brought the family out to the clean air of Colorado.
Yeah, I searched around the country for a place to raise my children, and may have been a right decision or a wrong decision, but you want your children to live near you. And if people don't want to fix this place, my children can't live near me because they're going to be successful. And so you want to have a chance that they live near you. And I'm not tied to anything. By the grace of God, I wasn't tied to have to be here. And I searched the country, and I thought I found the pinprick of what would be the best piece of real estate that would appreciate the most, and a place that the kids would do well. And
you ran for office out there.
I did.
Got beat bad.
Yeah, I made one critical, it was a high-risk, high-reward situation where is the greatest district to represent. It's the most conservative district in America. So when you call for John Boehner's resignation, as I did a year and a half ago, people will stand and cheer, and people stood and cheer for my speeches. Just that you can't meet. In Cranston, over 4 months, I met every single person. I walked every single street. The district that I ran in was the size of Virginia. So you had to drive 3 miles to find 65 people. So the mistake was, if I had a year, I would have won that race. Because it went from nothing to something. But to win a race near the end, there has to be this come together meeting. Like, oh, you saw Laffey. Oh, I like his kid. Oh yeah, he was at the barber shop. And couldn't cross the chasm. I will again, but I couldn't cross the chasm. And I learned a lot. I actually learned a lot. It's okay. It's okay. You fail, but I've been in the arena, and I'm going to get in the arena again.
You are.
Yeah.
What have you learned? I mean, some of it was bleeding out when you say, hey, Chris Christie, his bond rating went down 8 notches, and guess what? Well, frankly, he's not getting a lot of traction yet, so.
But Marco Rubio is, and he hasn't done a single thing to get that point. I mean, he hasn't accomplished a thing in his life.
So.
He hasn't fixed the state, he hasn't run a Dell's lemonade stand.
Tell me what you think you've learned, not necessarily about you and politics, but politics itself. What wins, what loses, what sells, what doesn't, what resonates, what sticks, what doesn't. What have you learned?
Timing is critical, and timing for me is, there was one time where if I had run for mayor, and if I had come home 4 years earlier and run against John O'Leary, I would have lost. Michael Traficante had massive problems. They wouldn't vote for a Republican. I would have lost. I came home at the exact right time. I felt it's God.
So timing is critical.
Timing is just critical. And in the congressional race, you couldn't get anybody to pay attention. And what you're talking about has to be important.
When you had the Senate race, you mean?
In the Senate race here.
Oh, right.
For example, what did I talk about? The national debt. For people, it's so far away. Now, I'm right about this. I was right about Cranston. I was right about Providence. I was right about Central Falls when I talked to the people in Central Falls about going broke one day. You're going to lose everything. You're going to listen to me. The timing has to be right where people actually do focus on what you want to talk about. And we're getting closer to what you'd call Laffey time for the country, I imagine, because there's going to be a crisis where people are going to focus. The national debt is too high. The Federal Reserve is a disaster. So I learned that. I also, by the way, one thing I want to tell you what I really did learn, and I saw this when Senator Chafee ran, or Governor Chafee ran for president, and I was on your show and talked about exactly what would happen. But it was very, very evident, the evil that exists within this world, and with the progressives and some of the state union people, is that Lincoln Chafee didn't do worse or better debating me. He did just as bad, just as embarrassing to anybody who would watch that. He didn't whack his head against the wall 3 times and something happened a month ago when he debated in CNN. But the progressive people had use for him. So did the Republican Party, they thought. So they spent all their money saying how quirky he was, but honest. You use these terms, right? He's quirky but honest. Not a complete fool. Not a raving lunatic in a debate. I mean, there's a clip about the death penalty that people should watch. It was just as bad as his debate the other day. And I don't dislike Senator Chafee, but when he left the state, as I said, what would happen? They had no use for him. The only use they had for him at CNN was to make Hillary Clinton look better by putting people who couldn't speak, who were functionally not able to go. How do you say it politely? So they put him on the stage. And then they told him, get off the stage. See, Wolf Blitzer said, what are you doing running? Why are you running? And so forth. They didn't say to him, you're running against me, because they had use for him. And that's the evil that you see that has to be defeated, whether it's at the State House in Rhode Island or in this country. And it's only going to happen when we see another panic, either statewide here in Rhode Island or nationwide. We're going to have both these things.
It's fascinating. When we come back, because I want to have some running room on this, I want to talk about what's happening with 38 Studios, the leadership void, as I've been calling it, see what his solution is, if any. Stay with us. With Steve Laffey, yeah, there's nothing wrong with your television. He left us, what date did you leave?
April 2nd of 2010.
Not that you were counting or marking a calendar.
I remember it, yeah. Sad, very sad.
And so you're visiting, and it's great to see you, and it brings back a lot of memories. And you and I had our battles. I mean, it's not like it was always easy. It was tough at times. And but here's what my theory is, and this is what I've said on the radio and on the television here for a while now. The state of Rhode Island, that you still love,
I love,
is missing the kind of leadership that just wants to take care of here. Right now, what's most discouraging about Gina Raimondo, and I'd say it to her if she was sitting here. I'm hoping she comes back so I can say it to her if she's sitting here. Having a purely professional, disconnected strategery to build reputation beyond the borders and to offer smoke and mirror solutions inside the state is, I wouldn't call it evil, but it's cynical. And I don't think with the Speaker of the House and the Senate President and others who are just battling for the status quo that we're going to make any gains until somebody says, this is all I want to do. I love this place. I want to fix this place. Do you agree with that?
I agree with you. And I think you hit it right in the nail on the head. It's sad to watch. I mean, Governor Raimondo, as a general treasurer, used that office to raise money. That's what people do. I didn't run for it. You don't need a general treasurer. It could be part of the governor's office. It's a joke. But they use it because it controls lots of pension money. So while they don't get money from that pension person, they get it from other people.
You think the Treasury could be a department of the administration?
Of course.
Yeah.
It's just a joke.
Well, we elect. Well, that's not her fault.
No, it's not her fault. It's just
it was there for the getting.
But people use it as a stepping stone. It's been unsuccessful until she did it, but by a three-way race and all this kind of stuff.
Well, we've got this fake investigation, only because more data and documents have been spit up in a civil litigation in the 38 Studios lawsuit. We got a $100 million hit the folks are taking, and frankly, it's not even the money. It's the psychology of it. It's the devastation of it. It's the cloud that hangs over. It's the stench, and they want to wish it away, and they don't want to purge it.
Yeah, they got to get right to the bone. I mean, I tell people.
What would you do if you were in that place? Do you fantasize about being the governor in the middle of this mess?
Yeah, I would love to. We wouldn't pay the debt. That's a joke. I wrote an op-ed piece about this, and as I was
on the moral
leaving,
obligation bonds.
So they're revenue bonds, and they're clearly issued that way, and they should not be paid. There's no revenue. So if you put up a revenue bond and there's no revenue, you don't pay. So they shouldn't be paid. And the whole thing about the rating agencies is a joke. You might remember in December of 2002, when I became the mayor, I made some statements that if I had to choose between the hardworking people of Cranston and et cetera, I might choose the hardworking people of Cranston. The bond rating agencies, which I know very well, I lived in the industry, they're like, oh, we might blah, 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 take that badly. The bond rating went up 8 notches. It's over. This is a joke when they say this stuff. So that's number one. You don't do that.
At the beginning, when they had that debate, I was hoping that they would take at least 1 year's prorated money to pay back the bonds, invest it in an investigation, purge the thing. The answers would be clear as to who is morally obligated or whatever, and we would cure the state. We would cure its reputation. But you were saying
the problem is the people of Rhode Island are responsible for this. We
lethargy.
Here's an example.
Acceptance.
When people ask me about this in Colorado, and they heard about it, the Kurt Schilling, and I say, it's sort of like this. I'm in Colorado, and I say, I get $600 million, the state's a lot bigger, $600 million to build a nuclear power plant. and you say, Steve, I didn't know you were a nuclear engineer. And I say, I'm not. I don't know anything about it. I'm going to make it out of wood. And you say, what? And I say, it's got $600 million from the state of Colorado. That's what happened. And it happened because people are lethargic. How could anybody think that even if it's created that many jobs, like whatever, how could it be worth it? It's not worth it. It never is. What's needed in Rhode Island is to be a game-changing act. You need a giant airport. How many times have I said this? You need a giant airport, or you need a no income taxes, and you need to be a right-to-work state.
Something to market.
Something that changes the game.
Right. Guess what? Blue in the face. Same speech for me. Gina Raimondo will look you square in the eye and say, we need incremental change. There's no such thing as a game changer.
The incremental change from Rhode Island being the leading and wealthiest state a couple of hundred years ago, the incremental change of being the wealthiest place, the biggest merchants, and the biggest manufacturing has been now the worst run state that shows up on every single, the worst business place, low 5, right? The worst infrastructure, the low 3. The worst place to start a business, the low 4. Every single thing. Here's a solution, by the way. If you want to do incremental, go look at Massachusetts, every single one of their laws, every one of their taxes, and make ours 0.1% lower.
Exactly. 1 point. That's it. Have you been listening to my speeches?
No,
or,
these are obvious things that you would do.
It's just.
And so at some point,
why you said not so? What you want to be competitive? Be a notch below in the sales tax. You want to be competitive? Be a notch below in the income
or
tax.
eliminate one of them.
Or shake it up.
Shake it up.
All right. You said at the beginning that you're going to get back in the game of trying to lead through our democracy. Is that going to be in Colorado, or is that going to be back here?
If I stay past Saturday, I'd never leave. I love Rhode Island. I'm in Cranston the last couple of days, and just I don't know. I love being here, and I've got this personal issue that we're working on, and we'll see what happens in the future. But I came back after 20 years, and we had a lot of fun, and we help people.
By the way, so people aren't. Steve has got a family member who's challenged right now, and with health. So that's what the personal issue is, and it's hard.
Yeah, very hard.
It's very hard,
yeah.
and you have my prayers. It's a hard one. It's a hard one. Sorry.
Anyway, I shouldn't have brought it up, but it's.
You're keeping an open mind.
Yeah, I just my wife, who's from Mississippi, I dragged her up here, and she's with friends, and was over at the Patriot Stadium for the day, and they're in South County right now as we speak, and it's just listen. Everybody knows I love Rhode Island because I had passion for it, right? And I guess
seemingly still do.
I guess I just didn't want to be a one-man guy doing a wrecking crew.
Well,
we need a movement.
Well, and
the Rhode Island Republican Party was a disaster, and you were right about it all along. Should have just closed up shop 5 years ago and restarted somehow. They just. Is Joe Trill still yelling Laffey ruined the Republican Party?
I don't know.
I mean, seriously.
I don't know. He's been spending a lot of time with Democrats.
They yelled stuff like that out all the time.
We got to go.
I know. God bless you.
God bless you and the family.
All right. Thanks.
All right, then. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Guessing that Steve Laffey might have said a thing or two that causes you to want to react, you can do so at your state of mind, 228-1886, email, tweet, Facebook post, all of that. I'd hate to be the one to cheerlead him back to Rhode Island. No, actually, I would be happy to be the one to cheerlead him back to Rhode Island. If that conversation made you uncomfortable, think about why. Seriously. Black Major Movement on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.